Starting the Regents review up. Alright, so this is for Bio Regents review. Starting from topic 1, we're going a little past lab safety, because lab safety is very easy, and if you don't know it, then you can go see Mr. Jones for that, but I could not find any actual sheets online for lab safety. If I can, then I'll do it tomorrow. Every new video 6 to 7 Eastern time until the day of the Regents. So the night before, there's going to be a video, and this is going to help me study too. So even if no one watches these, I'm just doing it so I could study, and I like doing these types of things. Last year I did Earth Science Regents. So yeah. So we're doing the metric system, metric conversions and stuff like that. So I got my little book here. This is some of my dad's work stuff. And so basically the first thing you need to remember when doing this is King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. KHDUDCN. Okay? This camera's really weird. There we go. Alright, so once you know that, you go off of whatever the measurement before I'll explain this to you, but just remember this. You can screenshot this if you want. Just remember this, these letters. So, basically, you're going to have written these letters down. And when you're doing these problems, I don't even know if these are going to be on the Regents, but this is a very quick thing. So we're just going to do, the top 4, or maybe 3 or 4. So, you got milligrams. King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. So that's 7. Okay. The last one is M. So if you want to bring it to grams, you're going to go to U. U stands for units. So a gram is a very basic unit of measurement. Yes, a gram is a very basic unit of measurement. I don't even know if that's correct grammar yet. It's a basic unit, okay? So U stands for unit. So what you're going to do, you got 1,000 milligrams. You're going to, every time you go back a letter, you're going to add a decimal point. So basically you're going from M, C, D, U. So that's normal, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay. So 1,000 milligrams, 1, 2, if you can see my cursor, 3, that's equal to 1 gram. Yeah, 1 gram. And then 1 liter, you got milliliters. Liter is a unit. That's the U. So you're going to milliliters. You're going to add 3 zeros instead of taking them away. Or adding decimal points. If it's a number like 160, you add decimal points. But if it's zeros, you take away the zeros. So that is going to be 1,000 milliliters. And we're just going to do one more. This stuff is very easy. So, centimeters. King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate. C in centimeters. Meters, basic unit, yeah. So you're going to millimeters. King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. So that's one more 0. So you have 160 centimeters equals 1,600 millimeters. Alright. Yes, so now that we got that out of the way, if I can get this to work, there we go. Okay, so we're doing ecology. Let me see if I can find the notes to this. Alright, so basically we're going to use the notes from what my bio teachers put in to the Google Classroom. I'm just going to further explain what these mean though. So ecology is the study of how organisms interact with and are dependent upon the environment and each other. Environmental organization. Okay, do now brain pop. Okay. environment. The environment is made up of living and non-living things that surround an organism. This could be, an environment is basically like fish in a lake with frogs. Frogs and the fish are the living, and so are the plants. Those are all the biotic factors, which are the living things, bacteria, plants, animals, and fungi. Abiotic are the things like soil, water, air, gases, minerals, temperature, and pH. pH is basically just how acidic the water is. You'll learn more about that. The higher the pH, the more acidic. So like, if it's like an 8, 9, or 10 pH, then it's really acidic. But low pH, like 3, 2, 1, is like not that acidic. And then temperature is another factor that comes into play, because let's say you're in Antarctica, the animals in Antarctica can survive much lower temperatures than the animals in, say, like a warmer place. So anything that isn't living is abiotic in an ecosystem, and anything that is biotic is living in an ecosystem. So, levels of organization. An organism is an individual. Say, like one fish is an organism. That is one organism. That is an individual. A population is all of the organisms of a specific species. Yeah, so goldfish in a pond, that's multiple goldfish. The goldfish is the population of one animal. That is not all the animals. That's what a community is, which we'll get to in a second. A population is just one specific type of animal, just the amount of them. So you have 10 fish, that's the population of fish in the pond, 10 fish in the pond. The community is all of the living things in that area. So goldfish, turtles, frogs, lilies, like lily pads. So 10 fish, 3 turtles, 4 lily pads, and 5 frogs would be the whole community, every single living thing. The levels of organization in an ecosystem. So, yeah, this is the same thing. Okay, I just stuttered really bad there. So, an ecosystem. So, ecosystem is communities plus the abiotic environment. Must have an input of energy and recycling. Okay, so basically, in an ecosystem, what this means, you must have input of energy and recycling of materials. Basically, the abiotic environment, the communities are all the organisms, like as shown in this, where there's like 10 fish, a bunch of other different types of animals. That's the community. And then the abiotic environment is everything that benefits them, like the water that they swim in, the like the actual, like the dirt that allows the plants to grow, all that type of stuff, like all the non-living stuff that helps the animals survive. And the input of energy and recycling of materials. So basically what that means, recycling of materials is more of like that's more of a biotic thing. That's the say bacteria and the fungi, if there was fungi. I forgot what it's called. Decomposing dead organisms and recycling them back into the environment, more nutrients for the plants to grow. And the sun is also a very big factor in when inputting energy into an ecosystem, because it allows for a lot of nutrients to come down to the plants grow. It's just a good time in general. Biomes are large geographic areas with similar climate and ecosystems. But yeah, pretty much just said that all in itself. It's like very specific areas with like climate. Yeah. So like picture the Gobi Desert. That's like that's like a biome. It's a desert. It's very this biomes are just very specific areas with very similar climate and ecosystems. Yeah, just said that all in itself. Biosphere is the portion of Earth where living things live. So that's basically anything that isn't. That's everything that we walk on and where birds fly and stuff like that. Basically, everything in the troposphere. Okay, everything in the troposphere. That's before where there's a large decrease in oxygen and things can't really live up there. So yeah, that's like up and then out of space. I don't know about this. There might be bacteria outside of space, but in our case, anything that is living is in the troposphere, which is just where we live basically, because that's where everything lives. Let's see. Habitat is a specific place that is an organism's home. Niche, the role of the organism in its habitat. Okay, I'm just gonna start cutting to like very important points. Okay, so yes, a habitat is a place. Yeah, you don't need. This is very just a niche. You guys might need to know. Yeah, a niche is the role of an organism in its habitat. Say like there are certain fish that clean sharks' teeth. Um, the job of them is to clean the shark's teeth. That's a niche. That's like a role in like in a ecosystem. Relationships with an ecosystem. Okay. Okay, this is very basic. Autotrophs are basically just things that create their own food through photosynthesis. You guys probably all know what photosynthesis is. Plant, just anything that can use photosynthesis to create its own food. Heterotrophs cannot make food and they have to eat other things. They are also known as consumers. And autotrophs are known as producers. Producer, autotroph, consumers, heterotrophs. Consumers consist of herbivores, which eat plants, and carnivores that eat other animals. Consumers are also omnivores and decomposers. Decomposers take that waste and pretty much decomposers. All you need to know is that they take the waste. They can't make their own, so they eat the waste, they absorb it, and then they decompose it and they recycle it back into the environment. Omnivores eat everything. Okay, they are vacuums. Food chain. Yeah, this is important. Food chain allows for the energy to flow, as it says here, energy flow from one organism to another in an ecosystem. So basically, producers like algae get their the food chain. They get it from the sun. Something else eats them. Then energy is flowing through. Usually, the organisms get bigger and bigger until eventually the man, which is the dominant species, catches the thing with the most nutrition, which you'll see why I said most in a sec. So let's see. Food web's basically the same thing, just organism going to another. They're not the same thing. They look like this. This looks like this. Competition is important. Animals may have to fight each other off or even eat each other due to limited resources. Let's say there were many animals getting water from a pond. Of course, they're going to try to fight each other because what happens when there's no pond? And yeah, some animals might make ponds dirty, so that's another factor. Limiting factors. This is like a harder side to this. Limiting factors. Okay, so there's biotic factors and abiotic factors. Amount of oxygen dissolved in pond limits the number of fish or the amount of light reaching the forest floor. Okay, so factors such as like tall trees and like predators and prey for biotic can things affect how other things live. That's really the best way to explain it. Probably not actually, but it's basically just things that affect how other things live. It's limiting the number of things that are able to live. That's why there's not like an infinite population of deer, because some of them die off. Carrying capacity. Number of organisms in an ecosystem that an ecosystem can support. Like if there's too many deer, they'll eat all the grass and then they'll die, and then some will reproduce, and then it like affects how they do all that stuff. So okay, part 2 will be out in like this screen recorder is garbage. It only lets me record for 15 minutes. Part 2 is going to be out in like a solid 10 minutes.